Still rockin' after all these years.
This is the story of my rock and roll butler.
This is it, the show that started it all. Often imitated, but never equal. From San Francisco, USA, online since 2004. It's the one and only Rock and Roll Geek Show. With the original Rock and Roll Geek, Michael Butler.
Welcome to the Rock and Roll Geek Show. My name's Michael Butler. Thanks a lot for joining me. I really appreciate it. Today, I'm going to be reposting another of the Lost Interviews series. Over the years, since 2004, I've recorded several interviews. Most of them good. I kind of think that, I would say 95% of them are excellent interviews, if I do say so. But over the course of the 12 years or so I've been doing podcasts, I was posting them on the Mevio servers and the Podshow servers, and since they went out of business, I lost all the shows. So if people go on and search for some of these interviews, they will see that they don't play. So I'm eventually just reposting them all. I consider them the lost interviews. And when I had Jeff Rugby on, he used to work at Rykodisc, and he's doing a thing of series of David Bowie talks. Anyway, I had him on the show a couple months ago, and he asked me, hey man, can you repost that Tsar interview that you did with Jeff Whalen from Tsar? And I thought about it, and I never got around to reposting it. And then yesterday I got an email from Jeff Whalen from Tsar saying, hey man, can you repost that interview you did with me a long time ago, because it doesn't seem to be playing on your website. So I said, if Jeff Whalen, the lead singer of Tsar, asked for it, it's probably time to repost this one. So that's what I'm doing today, friends. Reposting an interview I did back in 2010, I think I did this interview. We did Jeff Whalen came on the show back when I had super producer Shane Chisholm. He arranged for Jeff Whalen to come on the show. And we did a track-by-track of their first album, which is one of the highest quality albums you will ever hear. If you're a fan of good hard rock with super, I mean, the catchiest hooks that you have probably ever heard. I mean, I think this album is near perfect of an album, their first album. Sometimes the album is called, I think in Europe it was called Calling All Destroyers. Here it was just called Tsar. The album was produced by Rob Cavallo, came out on Hollywood Records, I believe. And we did a track-by-track commentary of it, and we did a little interview as well. I think it's a really good interview, and the guy is a witty guy and extremely great songwriter. When he emailed me, he says he's got a solo album that he just finished, and I can't wait to hear that. He's looking for somebody to put it out. I'm going to have him on the show hopefully soon to talk about that. But today I'm going to repost the lost interview with Jeff Whalen of Tsar. If you don't know who Tsar is, I'm going to start off with a song so you can get a little feel for the band. This song I'm going to play is from their album that came out in 2005. I think it was on TVT Records. It wasn't on a major label. I could be wrong about TVT Records. It's on some label like that. That record is called Band, Girls, and Money. Came out in 2005. The first Tsar album came out in 2000. So we're at like almost the 16-year anniversary or 17-year anniversary of that album. All right. Before I get into the interview, here is Wrong from Band, Girls, and Money from Tsar. By the way, thank you everybody who donated to the show. Please keep the donations coming. There's a link on the show notes at rockandrollgeek.com. Email me, rockandrollgeek@gmail.com, area code 706-621-ROCK. That's area code 706-621-7625. You can find this show on the Facebook, or you can find me on the Facebook, R&R Geek. Find me on the Twitter, R&R Geek. Find me on the Instagram, Rock and Roll Geek. Don't ask. Send me an email. Let me know which lost interviews you would like to see me repost. All right, here's Wrong from Tsar, Band, Girls, and Money, and then we'll go right into the Jeff Whalen interview.
Warriors, some come
Jeff Whalen, thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's a real kick.
Yeah. So I just heard about Tsar when I was in this band back in like around 2000. I was in this band called American Heartbreak, and the guy who ran our label said, "You have got to hear this record by this band called Tsar," and he handed me the record, and it's now one of my favorite records of all time.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. Every song. What makes a great record is every song from top to bottom is great.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean that was our goal. We actually talked at the time about whether we should put some songs on there that weren't so great, because to make the album more challenging or something like that. To make it, there was a theory I had at the time about how you can't give the people what they want because they resent it, and that you have to meet it out, like kind of like. The Bee Gees this was my theory at the time, the Bee Gees like in the late 70s had given the people what they wanted too much, and the people ultimately resented that and punished the Bee Gees.
Well, they punished them probably for being too huge.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at what the Bee Gees were doing in like 77, 78, with not even just their own kind of Saturday Night Fever stuff, but also like Andy Gibb or like...
Barry Gibb.
Yeah, well, you know Samantha Sang? Do you know who I'm talking about when I say that? Or like Frankie Valli with the theme song from Grease, or whatever. It's unseemly to give the people that much of what they want, I think. So we had a few kind of facetious conversations about putting some like a 10-minute really bad song on there, just to make sure that people had perspective on the rest of the album.
But you didn't do that.
No, we didn't.
So
unfortunately,
I want to take you back from the beginning, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So how did Tsar? What were you doing before you formed that band?
Well, I kind of living, lives of not so quiet desperation, I suppose. Me and Dan, who's the guitar player, we had started the band started a band in 1997, and we were having trouble fleshing out the rest of the lineup for various reasons, and we were having trouble coming up with a name. And I was working, we had just graduated from college not too long ago, and I was working downtown Los Angeles in a temp job, but it was from midnight to 8 o'clock in the morning, and it was on the 70th or 60th or something floor of the Wells Fargo building.
What was the job?
It was a job I'm not sure that they have this job anymore with various computer advances since then, but it was like if you had a publicly traded company, then you would need to file your quarterly financial, this is really interesting, quarterly financial information with the SEC in some kind of like very specific filing way, some computer program that not everybody had access to at the time. So it was kind of like a glorified Kinko's. You'd send in your information, we'd convert it to a form that would be accepted by the stock.
All right. All right. Some sort of an office job. Basically.
It was an office job.
All right.
So the thing is that I'd be there all night, and even though it was in the middle of the night, you had to wear a tie, and it's like there was this weirdly kind of like alienating experience over time. I don't know if you've ever had a night job, but it's unsettling to your soul in a weird way, and when you're like in the middle of the night, 4 o'clock in the morning, and you're traveling down 60 whatever floors to the ground floor in a tie to go out to have a cigarette, it's weird. And as you're getting off, you see all the people coming in, you're looking down from your window. It started to, after a couple months, it started to make me feel very strange. And not that I felt very alienated, but not that I was the alien. I started to feel like everybody else was kind of an alien. So I decided to quit the job and live in my car. And around this time, Dan and I, the guitar player, decided that we would need to have the best band name in the world, and what was the band that everybody wanted to hear, and that was Drug Boy.
What happened with Drug Boy? Did you guys play gigs and stuff?
Well, no, because what we decided to do was we were going to record an album called Drug Boy. We were just going to be him and I, and it was going to be called Please Don't Feed Drug Boy. And so we went to Guitar Center and we bought a bunch of equipment that we couldn't afford because back then, I don't know if they still do, but you can return everything within a month.
Yeah.
So we were going to, get a bunch of equipment and then just return it. And in that month, we were going to acquire all the drugs that we could and to spend the month because, we had an apartment that, was paid up through whatever. And now that I'd quit my job or whatever, we was free to just kind of spend all day doing the drugs recording the Drug Boy sessions, as it were.
All right, but did you record it?
Yeah, well, we recorded. I mean, I wouldn't call it an album. We were recording on like an 8-track Tascam, I believe, quarter-inch reel-to-reel thing that Dan had. And it was a mix of live drums and drum machine, and very lo-fi, which was kind of like okay with us at the time. But the Drug Boy sessions, as it were, became the songs from that became the basis of the Tsar album.
Was the King of the School EP before the Tsar record? I'm assuming it was.
King of the School was after.
Oh, it was after.
It included a couple of things from the that didn't make the album.
All right. So which songs were Drug Boy songs that made it to the record?
Well, Drug Boy started with a radio into Girl Who Wouldn't Die.
Okay.
Kathy Fong is the Bomb. Ordinary Girl. Mono Stereo.
We should probably save that when we go to the track by track of the record. So
okay,
save that.
Yeah.
All right. So you did Drug Boy, and then you decided to finally found a drummer and a bass player.
A bass player. Well, we found. I should also say that conceptually, our roommate was very kind of important at that time. A guy named Casey. He was very key to our kind of outlook, which this is the late '90s. And it was a different time. Rock was kind of winding down,
right?
Although we didn't really necessarily know that. We didn't know that there wouldn't be any more good bands, at that time. But like pop was, like the Spice Girls were kind of ending their awesome run, but then Britney was kind of, Backstreet Boys were kind of winding up to give us a big wallop.
Right.
And it was a very kind of, pre 9/11 kind of life, at least for us. And somehow in there we got this like sense of that we weren't going to be, that this was going to work out. And I don't know how, I don't know why, we didn't really have any feedback that would let us believe that. But suddenly we got shot through with this sense of confidence that was not cockiness. It was we were very assured. I don't know why. And so we suddenly we decided to get this bass player who was later to go crazy. But we didn't know that, although, we'd see him walking down the street and he had this big, feather boa and sunglasses and just like the coolest dude in the world. And we're like, we got to get that guy to play bass. We didn't even know he played bass.
But he did play bass?
He did.
Huh, what a coincidence.
And he refused to be in our band whenever I would talk to him. A friend of mine saw him walking down the street and said, hey, my friend asked you to be in his band. They're really good. And so the guy went over to my friend's house, and my friend played him our demo, and the guy goes, well, yeah, okay, I'll be in their band. Anyway, so he was awesome, and he was manic-depressive.
Uh-huh. And
he would walk down the street with like a whip in one hand and a knife in another hand, and like wearing fangs and stuff.
Yeah. He was an LA crazy guy.
Yeah, but very cool.
Okay.
And so when we started playing, he'd play the bass with a dildo, and it was pretty wild.
Right.
And so we only played a few shows, and then we got offered an indie record deal, which was gratifying to us, certainly.
On what label was that?
was a label called Slog.
Okay.
I'm not sure if they're still around.
And that was still Drug Boy?
No, at that time we were in a transition. We had even though Drug Boy was a superior name, we were going as Stupid Girl at the time.
Okay.
Girl with a U. We were about to be called Tsar. It was just the weirdest thing. We had this drummer who lived like down the street, and he was a cool dude, but he had no rock and roll dreams. Whereas the bass player, he was all rock and roll dreams, you know, and
right.
he was living in the ether, you know, even as he walked. So anyway, so I don't know how, you know, I mean, we had this momentum at it based on nothing really, and but then our bass player, he went crazy and he started showing up for gigs, you know, in a cab, like literally in a cab. We hadn't heard from him for like 3 or 4 days, kind of thing. We just bring his stuff and hope he'd show up, and he'd be like in a dress, spilling out of a cab with like a bottle of Thunderbird in a bag, you know, brown bag.
Okay.
Which that all sounds good on paper, but it's actually really a bad thing for when you have a band.
Right.
Anyway, so it was time to fire him. He was, you know, kind of violent. Would get kind of.
I was gonna say, I hope he didn't have the knife in his hand when you fired him.
No, although no, it's like I don't know if you've seen Spinal Tap, you probably have, but there's a scene where Nigel has left the band and David St. Hubbins is like he says if I wasn't so
follows
heavily sedated right now.
Exactly.
I had to like take some of our stash from the Drug Boy stuff just to calm. I mean, I was so nervous.
You had to take the drug. You didn't drug him.
No, that would have been a good idea. But no, my heart was beating so fast.
Right.
I mean, it was like because it was like we didn't know. Seriously, we didn't know what was going to happen.
Afraid that this guy was going to commit violence on you guys.
Yeah, and when he took it pretty good at the time, but then
then he had to come pick up his gear though, right?
Well, no. Well, thankfully, he didn't have it, at our place. But like a few, maybe a week later, run into his girlfriend or his ex-girlfriend, I guess, and he had been taken to a I don't know what they call them, an asylum.
Right.
I don't know.
Uh-huh.
And he was sending us from there like pictures with our faces scratched out and our heads on fire and stuff. And it was like, isn't that what people do right before they kill them? I don't know.
Right. So whatever happened to this guy?
He's in Hollywood.
Is he performing as ex-Tsar member, whatever his name is?
I'm sure he's not. That's not in the title, but he's had bands. I'm not sure exactly where he is right now. I know he's a good person. I mean this. He's a good person. He did a lot of good things for our band.
He's not going to listen to this show. Don't worry about it.
But no, I want this for the record.
Okay.
He's a good person and but he's sick.
Okay.
So,
what's his name?
His name is Alan.
Alan. Would I know him from any other bands, maybe?
He was in a band called Motorcycle Boy.
Okay, I know them. Yeah, I know that band.
I'm not sure what he did with them.
Okay.
But sincerely, he's a very cool dude, and he's sick. So okay, so we started playing gigs with a friend and just kind of filling in, and then Jeff Solomon, who we already knew, he moved from San Francisco to L.A., and so he had been fat, and but he had gone to India and gotten E. coli.
Huh.
And
lost his weight.
So it slimmed him right up.
There you go. Are you bullshitting me?
No.
All right.
No, I got to paint you the picture of like how everything was going. It was just like, hey, Jeff's going to show up and he's going to have been very ill, but now he's going to look good.
Yeah. There you go.
And so that was our bass player of our dreams, and then our drummer of our dreams was in a band. We had known him, but he was in a signed band called Rydell High at the time. And this was Steve Coulter, who became our drummer. But they were having problems with their label, and they weren't in the most stable position. And so we had Steve kind of fill in. Like the first show we had was on KXLU, which is the college radio station in L.A.
Right.
I mean, it was like it's Sunday, and today is Saturday. And so, like, we rehearsed on Saturday and then played on the radio on Sunday, and it went really well.
And was the indie release out at this time?
Which do you mean?
You said you got an indie a deal on an indie label.
We got offered an indie record deal. We didn't take it.
Okay, all right.
We didn't take it because we'd only played like 3 or 4 shows, and we're like, well, let's see what happens if we play 5 or 6 shows.
Yeah, you thought you could do better.
Yeah, well, just to see, it's just There's no rush on this. So no, we hadn't recorded anything as Tsar at that point. We had a few demos and so forth, but now we were called Tsar, and we played a 4th of July barbecue that changed rock history. From that, like everything that happened to us in terms of business somehow was related to that, who had been there and so forth.
Right. So you started getting a following, and the label started coming around because I guess obviously you had great tunes. How many labels wanted to sign you guys?
Well, it's unclear, we got this kind of big-timey manager, and
who was that?
His name was Tom Atencio, and he's a real smart guy, and you never know when, because you want to be in a band and stuff, and you've heard all these,
stories about managers.
Stories and cliches, about like what's going to happen and all this kind of stuff. And, a part of me always wanted a cigar chomping manager, who's like,
right, Peter Green.
Gonna be huge.
Yeah, Peter Green type.
Yeah. So Tom Atencio, who had, he was New Order. He's the only manager New Order has ever had, and had managed No Doubt during the Tragic Kingdom period.
Right.
And
so he had good credibility or whatever.
And Jane's Addiction, but bands that had been really big, but not, but they're doing their own thing,
Right.
So
had artistic integrity.
Yeah, that appealed to me. So he started a kind of a panic in the business. I'm not sure, how much he was responsible or whatnot for Tsar. And soon, while every label was interested, they all thought that we were going to be too expensive to sign. So it was a really weird period because you'd get taken out to dinner or taken out to lunch, and the labels would say, well, listen, I just wanted to meet you guys, but you guys are too expensive for me to sign.
Okay, so the manager was putting thoughts, saying, all right, the manager's trying to get as much money for you as he can. You can't blame him.
Absolutely, but it was one of those things where it's like, what if that works too well,
Yeah.
And like, what if it's that restaurant that Yogi Berra says that nobody goes to because it's too crowded,
Right.
Didn't want that to be the situation.
Right.
So we probably got offers from maybe 4 labels, but we got taken out to lunch or dinner by 12 labels maybe. And it was a very fun, very harrowing few months because you really want this to happen. And on one level, you don't care. You don't care who it is. You know, you don't care what label it's on. Just, are we going to be on a label? Are we going to make a record? Are we going to go on tour? That's what I want to do. It doesn't matter,
Right.
what label. Because maybe in the 50s and the 60s, even in the 70s, that kind of thing, a label had an identity, a label had a sound.
Well, looking back now, do you think it mattered?
Well, we went with Hollywood Records largely because Rob Cavallo, who was head of A&R there at the time, seemed very sincere about the music.
Okay, I didn't know he was working for Hollywood.
He was. His dad was president, and Rob had just come over from Reprise.
All right, so that's a good reason to sign to Hollywood because Rob Cavallo, great producer, and so you signed with Hollywood. How much did they give you? A nice fat advance, or what?
They did, as a matter of fact. When you go to other labels, they would they do a thing. A&R people, they do a thing often where they try to casually be humming one of your tunes under their breath.
Yeah, I'm trying to stroke your ego.
Yeah, and very often they do it wrong.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Because
they're douchebags.
Whereas Rob Cavallo
Got the lyrics
he knew how
right.
to play all our songs on guitar.
There you
know?
go. There you go.
And I mean, he's a very accomplished guitar player, so it wasn't that big of a trick.
Note to record label guys. You want to sign a band, learn their music do a little bit of homework. Don't hum the melody. Learn how to play it on guitar, or research the band you're trying to sign a little bit.
Exactly. It goes a long way. A little personal affection, really, really, really.
Yeah. Don't say I like track 4 the best.
Yeah, that first one. Oh, that slow one kills me.
Yeah.
So we signed in late '98 with Hollywood Records.
Okay.
And they gave us enough money to relax. To relax for the time being.
Oh, that's good. They gave you some spending money to live off of, so you didn't have to work really, and they paid for all the recording. Did they put you out on tour? Did they give you a lot of tour support?
I don't really know how all that worked. I did a pretty good job of.
Did you guys go out on a bus when you went on? You went on the Duran Duran tour, right?
Yeah, we went out in a van on the Duran Duran tour.
Okay. Any other big
we've
tours?
We've never been in a bus. What's that?
You get any other big tours besides that Duran Duran?
That was the only big tour. We toured a couple legs with Marvelous 3. Again, they had a bus. We didn't. Eve 6, they had a bus. We did not. We've never been in a bus. I mean, I've been on the bus, but it was a city bus, and that's the bus I was on.
Right. Well, from the Tsar forum and the Rock and Roll Geek forum, Diggity Dog. Speaking of Duran Duran tour, want to know is that how you would have rather started out, or would you rather have been with a different kind of band doing smaller venues when you started out?
Well, with hindsight, I wish that we had done whatever would have given us the best chance at success for the band. Going on a Duran Duran tour was the first tour we had ever been on, and it was great.
Yeah, that's a nice first tour.
It was great. It was summer of 2000. Our album was coming out.
And what were the crowds like on a Duran Duran tour? Was it middle-aged women or gay guys, or what is the Duran Duran audience in late 1990s or 2000?
This would be 2000, yeah. They were probably between 3,000 to 10,000 people. Many of them seemed to be contest winners. I don't really even know what I mean by that.
You think they were your crowd? You think it was your type of the people who would go out and, that you would want, that you think people would go out and buy your record that would be in that audience? I know you want to appeal to everybody, but do you think that was your demographic, really?
Well, that's a difficult question because, I mean, a Duran Duran seat at that time was what, $50 to $100, right? So what person would, hey, there's this band Tsar coming out, but to go see them in Chicago cost $75 for the so probably not too many people came to see us.
No, I'm not, but you would want to win over some Duran Duran fans. Do you think those are the kind of fans you think would be your demographic?
Yes and no. I mean, I think that Duran Duran's a great band, and we have fans of all ages. I think most people that come to a Duran Duran show at that time probably just wanted greatest hits kind of thing, and not really necessarily be challenged by anything new that night or maybe in their lives anymore. And yet I do think that people that like Duran Duran would like our band. So it's kind of a mix.
And at this point, you're happy to be on tour, period.
Oh, it was awesome. It was early summertime.
Was the album out when you went on tour with Duran Duran?
It came out while we were on tour with them.
Halfway through the tour?
Mm-hmm, about that.
So where do you remember where you were the day the record came out, and did you go to the record store to look for it? That's a great question. I can't say that I remember. I remember that we were on tour. I can't say where. Did you go out and look for the record in the store?
I know we did. We must have. I don't remember that. I remember the first time I heard our song on the radio.
Was it on mainstream radio, or was it only on some of the hip stations?
Well, it was on K-Rock in L.A.
Okay. Right.
But that's a really weird thing for me to not remember.
Right. Did you have records and did they give you records to sell at the shows, or were people out actually buying the CDs after your set?
Yeah, we had, shirts and CDs and stuff.
And were you selling good?
and
Were you selling a lot?
It would depend. Some shows, lots and lots. Some shows, not any at all. And then you'd go out there, and then people would have you, sign stuff and everything, and that was a new, thrilling experience.
Right. Well, there you go. All right, so that leads us to the album that we're going to do a track by track of.
Oh, okay, awesome.
All right. On the cover of the record, there's a little sticker on it, and it says, Tsar exhibit all the qualities that will rescue rock and roll. Anthemic choruses, blasting riffs, and an all-important sense of melodic richness rooted in the tradition of classic British invasion pop, but no doubt fueled by the brash, free-for-all spirit of early punk. Pretty much,
awesome.
It pretty much describes the music quite well, although it kind of rescued rock and roll for me. I don't know if it for the masses. I don't know if it did for the masses, but it did for the people who like good music, I think.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I don't. The masses didn't.
How much did this record sell? How many did you sell? You know?
I don't know. It's shocking that how few that it sold.
Which is why it's a classic. Which is why I played on the Classic Albums Revisits. It's a segment that's called Classic Albums Revisits. Why we're doing it, because it's way underappreciated and undersold. So how much did it sell? Do you know?
Not more than 10,000, probably.
Yeah. So you didn't recoup, and you never probably saw another dime after that advance, did you?
No.
Okay.
But I actually have a bill from Hollywood Records.
Oh, really?
How much we owe them. At the time, it was something like $800,000. So.
But they let you do another record with the name Tsar. Sometimes sometimes a label will not let you continue with the name because you owe them so much money.
Well, we were still on the label when we recorded the second record. It came out on another label, but it was recorded for Hollywood.
Yeah,
so
I talked to Dan outside of a show you guys did in San Francisco at the
cool.
Red Devil Lounge, and I think he told me that.
Right.
But you got it back from him.
The TBT, the label, the second record came out on. I bought it from Hollywood.
Not for $800,000.
No, I think the $800,000 represents both albums and, catering or something.
Right, and the money that they took you out to dinner to.
Yeah, well, the thing is, look, it's no fun to be, on the rock and roll rocket, getting a ride, and then
get a bill for it.
Also, you don't want to you don't want to worry about money at that time.
Yeah,
this is something you want to enjoy this and just go hey, look, if this works out, we're not going to have to worry about it. And if it doesn't work out, we're also not going to have to worry about it.
That's the way everybody thinks when they're getting signed.
So let's not worry about it. But they are worrying about it, and they're marking down everything.
Oh, they were writing down how much toilet paper you used in the studio.
Yeah, which I tried to keep secret, but then in this day and age with the internet and everything, try to keep something like that secret.
All right. You ready to do this record top to bottom now? All right, so we're not going to play, we'll play maybe up to a chorus, or we'll talk about each one. So the first song on the record is called Calling All Destroyers, and this came out in Germany. I think the record was actually called Calling All Destroyers, right?
I think so. Yeah, that's a tidbit that I forgot.
Yeah, a fun fact is what we call it. All right.
Yeah, we call it a fun fact.
Yeah. All right, Calling All Destroyers. Get right out of the gate here. Turn it up so you can hear it.
All right.
Nice little fade in here.
All the fads and all the kicks of beer.
I love how see we'll get right in, make it a half a second into the song.
Okay.
I love how acoustic guitar, nice bright acoustic guitar under the vocals, right?
Right.
What's the fade in? It's just a guitar, turning up the knob.
That's backwards piano.
Oh, nice. Was that you guys' idea, or Rob Cavallo's the backwards piano?
I don't remember who suggested that exact thing. Well, we were recording on tape, which was kind of the end of the people recording on tape.
Right.
So I'm sure you can do that on Pro Tools even easier or whatever, but tape things kind of lent kind of an older, older tricks And I don't remember. I remember like we had big ideas for everything, and I remember just going, let's fade it in with something, and then somebody suggested backwards piano. Might have been Rob Cavallo, might have been our engineer, Ken Allardyce. I'm not sure who.
It's a great sound. All right, let's get back into it here. Immediate hook. You're immediately singing along. Never even heard the music, you're immediately singing along, right?
That's the idea.
Is this you and Dan who wrote this, or who wrote all this stuff?
I wrote most of the songs, and then Dan and I wrote one together, and then Dan wrote one.
Is this your song?
This one's mine. Yeah.
All right, let's listen to more. All right, so the guy from our label, when I was in the punk rock band or whatever, told me about this record. As soon as I put this on, I was in love. Not with you, but with the music. Maybe, I don't know. And by the way, at the time, my daughter was about maybe 15 years old, or not even 15. She was 10, as a matter of fact. She was in love. She loved it. You hooked a 10-year-old girl.
Well, you always try to get the 10-year-old girls hooked on something, but no, that was our plan was that that children and maybe not so much grandparents, because that was one thing. You hear that my grandma loves it, and then you go, uh-oh.
Right.
But it's always good to hear that kids like it, because it's good. It's if the best children's music band, which is the Beatles, is any indicator that if kids like your music, you're doing something good.
All right, let's get the solo here. Missed it. Total melodic solos. It's practically a perfect song. If I can kiss your ass here, man.
Oh well.
As a matter of fact, it's almost a perfect record.
Well, thank you, because we worried about that, because we tried to let's say sweet spot the whole record where it was always something that was the best part of the song, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah.
And I think the only other band that ever tried to do that, not that we were emulating it at the time, but although later the parallels were unmistakable, we certainly weren't going for this, but with Boston.
Oh yeah. It actually, it's funny you say that. It does have that production sound of a Boston record.
Well, that's it, and the pick slide to note played ratio of Boston, which is very high. But
do you like Boston?
Who doesn't like Boston?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't like Boston any more than a sane man should like Boston. Okay, but at the same time, there have been times when I'm driving down the street or whatever, and Boston comes on, and you have one of those freaky things where you go, "Now, why exactly? Give me a reason why this is not the best band in the world." And it's not a thought you ever have sanely or rationally or for very long. But if More Than a Feeling comes on, and you don't, when it starts, you go "Oh God, I don't want to deal with More Than a Feeling right now. I've heard it so many times, blah blah blah." But by the end, you're going, "God, this song's great."
Yeah,
and
it's funny you bring up Boston, because there are a lot of similarities between this and a classic Boston record.
Well, I take that as a compliment. We certainly were not going for that. We were kind of going for, I think at the time, the bands that were in our head were it was going to be some sort of Sex Pistols meets the Cars.
Yeah.
Or the Monkees meets Guns N' Roses, I think was a big one we were using at the time. And Led Zeppelin, no, maybe not Led Zeppelin, but...
Did the name Boston ever come up when you were recording this record?
Not at all.
Oh,
Journey did.
Okay.
but only as a joke.
Are you happy? Or how do you feel about the production of this record looking back after all these years? You think it's too slick?
Well, at the time we took a lot of fire for that because it, for the first year that came out, I literally had a conversation with somebody about how it was overproduced. Not me bringing it up, them bringing it up. 4 times or 5 times a week. It was like, man, you guys are great. That record's overproduced.
See, people put thoughts in your head.
We heard that a lot. Well, see, but it was very different than how we sounded and continue to sound live. Live, we were.
Yeah, I saw you guys several times. You were a little more raw, but you still had that. You still had a slick sound live too. At least when I saw you.
Well, thank you. When we did it, we didn't try to be 2 different bands, but I know people were surprised if they had heard the album first and then saw us, or saw us and then heard the album. I know it made sense to me, but I think a lot of people wanted it to be less thought out, less. Everything's in tune. Everything is kind of accounted for, which is not a bad thing. It's just.
Right. They think it had less. They think it lost some of the punk rock spirit or whatever. I disagree with those people. I think there's no reason in the world this record should not have sold 800 zillion copies, man. It's better than Appetite for Destruction, and I will say that right now.
Whoa!
There you go.
Wow!
There you go. I said it, man.
That's incredible. Thank you very much.
All right. Next song, I Don't Want to Break Up. By the way, my daughter just walked in the room. She's about to explode.
Oh. So I said hi.
He said hi. All right, I love the toms, the accented toms. Was that there before Rob Cavallo came in?
Yeah, that was on the original demo that I did on a cassette 4-track.
Okay.
Because they still had those in the late 90s. And I wrote it on an electric guitar, and I played the drums. I had a mic on my bed, and had it going through a chorus thing and a distortion thing, and then played the mattress with a wooden spoon and a pair of scissors, and kind of the thumping of hitting the mattress was recorded on the mic that was resting on the mattress, and that's how that beat came from.
Now this song, music first, lyrics first, title first. How do you remember?
Believe it was one of those. That and Silver Shifter was a weird. Wrote them in back to back, in 2 days. No thought to how the lyrics and the music. It just they came out fully formed. I'm not really sure about which came first.
All right, so I'm gonna let this roll. I'm gonna run to the bathroom, which is 5 feet from my chair here. So I'm gonna let this roll for a couple seconds.
Okay.
All right, let me get blast it here.
I don't wanna bust it out, baby, don't get down. I don't wanna justify my love, I don't wanna get tight. I don't wanna bust my brain, come on. Team, don't wanna let me go, and let me go my change.
All right, there you go. I Don't Want to Break Up. Great tune. Super catchy.
Thank you.
And I don't think that there was really anything that had this much spirit and hooks at the time. Can you think of anything at the time that was this catchy? The Marvelous 3 stuff, I guess, was pretty catchy. And Butch Walker, everybody knows about Butch Walker, how great he is and all that. But do you know of anything else that was like this?
Well, at the time, that was our first single from the record, by the way. We had high hopes for it. What was coming out at the time was Papa Roach.
Yeah, it was the new metal crap.
Yeah, that was
the Limp Bizkit and all that
at the time. And it was before the kind of the Rock is Back movement.
Actually,
I
The
don't know, I'm
Rock
not
is
really
back.
sure that-
That's what people thought. Limp Bizkit and all that was The Rock is back, and the Kid Rock and all that stuff.
Well, I meant Rock is back. I meant more like the Strokes,
Right,
kind of
yeah.
Hives, Vines. kind
Yeah,
of
this
period.
blows away the Strokes, Hives, and the Vines put together, my friend.
Well, thank you very
Yeah,
much.
there
Well,
you
hey,
go.
all I'm trying to say is it didn't really fit in with a lot of things that
Yeah.
were going on, which could have worked to our advantage commercially, but evidently did not. So.
Huh. You have any idea why this record didn't sell?
It's an eternal mystery, you know. It's like, according to the laws of aerodynamics or whatever, bees can't fly,
Right.
So, like, who knows? It's a question that it, at the time was very, very painful.
Yeah, I'll
at the
bet.
time, perplexing, and it's a question I've kind of had to let go, and stop asking why. Kind of.
Okay. Next song, one of my favorite songs of all time. It's practically the perfect song. It's called Silver Shifter. All right, another little fade in. And a lot of people may or may not know that this little sound here, that's an actual Spice Girls toy phone, isn't it?
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say whether it is or not.
My daughter had
time-
that phone.
So you recognize the sound?
Yes, she had the Spice
Okay.
Girls cell phone.
Okay.
And it was Mel C. Or was it Mel C or Mel B? Mel B. Hello, everybody. This is Mel B, correct?
I'm not going to deny it. Although
Okay,
at
you don't
the
want-
time, I
well,
think
you don't
we
have
were
to
told,
pay-
we were told to deny it. I don't see what it could hurt. Yeah, that's a Spice Girls cell phone. That's the ringing sound. I had it in my pocket.
We used to try to sync it up when we would listen to this in the car with the Spice Girls phone.
I had it in my pocket, and we were recording the vocals. And for a gas, I just held it up to the microphone, and it everything about it, from the sync and everything, was completely impromptu, live. Me just doing it on the mic.
Yeah, and it's great. All right, let's listen to it again here, beginning. Such a catchy tune, man. Now, is that open tuning?
That is regular tuning.
Okay, what are the chords of that? I forget it.
It's E and A.
What is it? C and A?
E and A are the main
E and
chords
A.
of the song.
Oh, okay, all right.
Slow down, chemical hit.
Yeah, little Cars sound, now that you mention it. Right?
Yep.
79. Shifter and planets align. Silver.
That's a little falsetto. Maybe people didn't get the high vocals. I don't...
People love high vocals. Everybody, from
I know grown macho men who have sang along Silver. And the nice little answer back when you do Silver, little answer back on the guitar.
Seven is never enough. Slide out into the stuff.
All right, Silver Shifter, great fucking tune, man.
Thank you. That was the second single. That was Rob Cavallo at the time called it that was our sure thing. So the first single.
Oh, when a
could
producer
hit-
says it can't miss, you got you're in trouble.
Well, on the other hand, you want the producer to say, boys, you've just recorded your first number one. You want them to do that. Come in here and listen to it. You want them to do that, but no, there was a lot of question as to what the first single should be, and the thinking, as I remember, was that we could always rely on Silver Shifter to make things right if the first single didn't go.
Yeah, and
then by then the label had they don't really
they don't give you a second chance.
they lose enthusiasm very quickly.
Yeah. You should have always go with the shirt with the million seller first. Look at the knack.
Hey, It's true.
Yeah. All right. All right. The next one is my daughter's favorite, and it's Kathy Fong is the bomb. And now do you ever get on the Tsar message boards?
No, it's I recommend to anyone who's ever does anything creatively to never look on the internet for anyone talking about what they've done. I saw an interview with a guy from The Simpsons. He was talking about how if you go online, somebody's bound to have said something that just sticks in your head, and you have to get surgically removed from your head. These negative things that people say. So,
okay. Well, tell me about this song, Kathy Fong is the Bomb. Who wrote it?
I wrote it. It was when I was working at that office job. Some women that were working in nearby desk talked about somebody named Kathy Fong, maybe a mutual friend or somebody. And that name was in my head, and then for no reason that I can think of, I wrote it on a Post-it note. Kathy Fong is the bomb, and I put it in my pocket. And then a few days later, was listening to some T-Rex with, at the house, and the roommates were hanging around. And Metal Guru, do you know that song?
Yeah, I know. Electric Warrior is one of my favorite albums.
Well, Metal Guru, which I think is on the slider.
I think is Metal. You're right. Yes, Metal Guru is on the slider. I apologize. See, that's shows how much I know.
But anyway, it
Metal Guru, me. Is it you? There you go.
Yeah.
Right.
So it stunned me with its T-Rex at the time was really getting to me with its how they just take the same hook and they just keep hitting it, and like they're not scared to repeat a hook.
Yeah.
And he's not scared to use simple chord progressions, almost like doo-woppy chord progressions, and the chorus was like some kind of G, E minor, C, D kind of predictable chord progression that I couldn't believe he was getting away with. And I said, well, then I'm going to stop trying to come up with all these weird chord progressions, and I'm just going to go with I'll just do it simple. And so it was E to C sharp minor, and I just sang what was on the Post-it note, and then about an hour later, the song was finished.
Well, on the Tsar message boards, there Jeff Cohen and somebody named Rob.
Okay.
I'll read Rob's question. This is about this song. I have one question right away that's just come up on our own little rock and roll geek squad. He says, you should probably clear it with him. I don't know what's going on with the situation. I'm sure it's an inside joke of epic proportions involving a number of Bay Area rock luminaries, but I wouldn't want Jeff to be upset or caught off guard about anything. Okay. So he says, off the first record, there's a song called Kathy Fong is the Bomb. There's also a song called Baby Talk by a Bay Area band called Loose Lips. Do you know of that song?
I don't.
He said, Baby Talk was released in January of 2000, 6 months before the Tsar debut record. He said, not only is it, he said, okay, it says, not only, it says, I can't read. It's not similar. It is the exact same song. Have you ever heard that song?
I've never heard about this. I've never heard this is a brand new thing for me.
Huh. I'm going to put it, I'm see if I can.
It's the exact same song?
It's the exact same song except for the lyrics are different.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to find it on you. All right. Here's the Loose Lips song. Listen to this. Think they stole that from you?
Well, no, I don't think that they stole it from me. It's what they're probably riffing on is a sweet song called
Hellraiser? Is it Hellraiser? No.
Out on a Saturday night, she said, "Mama, you don't understand. Every time I touch your hand, it's like I've been up on the fires of hell."
All right, let's listen to the rest, just a little, all the way through the chorus of this Baby Talk song. Let me turn it up here.
Clouds on a Saturday morning.
there you go. That's enough of that song. What do you
Oh
think?
my God, that is it. That forget what I was saying about the Sweet. I've never heard that song in my life. It came out in January of 2000.
Yeah, that's Kathy Fong is the Bomb.
That is either an incredible coincidence, which happens, or it could be what Rob said was the some sort of epic inside joke that I'm completely on the outside of. But that sounds just like Kathy Fong is the Bomb.
Huh. Well,
I've never heard that song in my life.
I'll bet if that record would have sold 2 million copies, you'd have heard about that song.
Yeah, I mean, I've never even heard of that band.
Yeah, I never hadn't either until somebody asked. All right, let's listen to a little bit of Kathy Fong is the Bomb, which is way better produced, obviously.
Okay.
And the lyrics a little bit better, too. Well, very similar. Man, that is just fucking hook after hook after hook, man. It's scary how catchy this record is, man. Is that you singing or Dan?
That's me.
Okay. My daughter's here singing along, by the way. Super hook. All right, maybe those guys practiced in the same rehearsal space as you guys.
I'm looking them up on the internet right now. Do we have who's in this band? They're from San Francisco.
Apparently, they're called Loose Lips. It's actually on iTunes. The record's on iTunes.
I'm looking at it on Amazon. It's from the record Talking Trash.
I think so. I think they only put out one record. I don't know much about the band. Does that piss you off? Maybe they ripped it off and put it out before you guys.
Well, I mean, I don't. Okay, it says February 1st, 2000.
And you guys recorded it before then, though, right? Well, they probably did too, but well, it's a mystery. You don't know anything about us. That's the answer to the people on the forums. There's no inside joke. Does that freak you out at all?
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm talking with you and and looking on the internet at the same time.
Oh
to find
shit!
out.
I blew the
What's
interview,
weird
didn't
is,
I,
mean,
man?
I've never heard this before in my life. I've heard from Kathy Fongs all over North America.
I didn't bum you out, did I?
What's that?
You're not bummed out or anything, are you?
Well, it's weird. It's like
I don't mean to confront you. It's just the questions that were on your message board. People asked me to ask.
Yeah, no, we were finished recording the record by then, by February of 2000. But I mean, look, okay, I was just saying about the simplicity of the chord progression, in terms of T-Rex and so forth. But at the same time,
yeah, every part's the same though.
It sounds. I don't know. I put it this way: when we get off the phone, I'm gonna find out more about it.
I'm gonna look up those guys too. I'll bet you they were probably practicing somewhere near you guys, and because a lot of bands will do that. I've been in rehearsal places where there's a bunch of bands playing, and we'll just finish it making up a song or and then you'll listen to the band in the next room. They're playing something that sounds exactly like it.
Yeah. I'm gonna check it out.
All right, next song is my favorite song on the record, and it is called The Teen Wizards. Oh,
Teen Wizards on your
listen to that.
street. The grown-ups get so high, they chain their children's
Man, I hope you're not uncomfortable with me showering you with praise like this, but this is a really fucking good album. And who's that on piano?
That is, one of the things that happened when we recorded the record is that, having never recorded a record before, we didn't know how things worked, and so when somebody said, this is what's going to happen, we said, okay, I guess that's what happens. So we didn't, Rob Cavallo wanted us to have the keyboards played by, this guy who always does the keyboards on his album, a guy by the name of Jamie Bergerac. And he was a very cool guy and a very nice guy. But at the same time, Dan could have played the piano on that, but didn't. Also, it's like I hadn't heard of him at the time, but Luis Conte is his world famous percussionist, and he did the tambourine on our album.
And none of these guys have credit on the liner notes. Of course, there's no liner notes on the record on the CD that I have.
If you look behind the where the CD sits in the case.
Oh yeah.
You will see both their names there.
Okay. All right, let's listen to a little bit more of this.
Okay.
All right, you're going up the hill on the roller coaster here, climbing the top.
And everybody everywhere.
Trains reaching the top of the tracks.
Shooting off the air to air to release the silent prisoner.
Oh.
Teen wizards of tomorrow, rock city, home radio. Everybody's gonna follow when the sun is burning out and out for you.
Wow, what a hook. What a hook. So, a little bit more.
Right now, little angels, pretty girls, arm in arm, heavier sense, the sound of the air is calling. Super.
So while this is playing in the background, you guys reunited, right? Or did you break up?
We never broke up per se. For a while, for a couple of years, up until recently, Dan and I were the only remaining members from classic Tsar.
So the original band, the original rhythm section left the band. They quit before Band Girls Money came out?
Yeah.
And then you replaced them.
And then we replaced them, and then now we're back the main four of us, I
And
guess.
what happened with TVT? Did the label go under? You guys get dropped, or what happened with that?
The label went out of business. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, it's a classic thing, we
Yeah.
went there, and in many ways they were very cool, but in many other ways, the guy who signed us, he left after a few months.
That's it happens to every band. Guys who sign you get fired and all that.
Yeah.
So you were on hiatus. Then what happened with the other? Now you guys recently did a show and with the original members. What made them come back? Did you guys call them up or?
Well, being in a band, I mean, you probably know this, but it's one has to project the image that it's very easy and it's very fun and very kind of carefree. But
yeah, when things are going good, people stick around. When things are not going good, people leave. Right?
Well, not. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's a matter of everything that you have, in your life, your sense of self, your financial future, your sense of status in the community. All these things are getting hit with a hammer. Over a period of years, it takes its toll mentally, spiritually, physically, financially, etc. So they, for very different reasons, left at different times, and getting back together. I think that we want to make more music together, and I think that the four of us, that's the key lineups for making another record, and so I think that that's kind of our goal.
So did they approach you guys? You guys run into each other at a bar and just said, let's jam together again, see what happens, or what?
I was always, the bass player Jeff Solomon, one of the great friends of my life, and so we remained close even when he wasn't in the band. And he remained friends with Steve, and so
yeah. So just talked about it, and then said, "Look, I might as well." Were you in another band, or were you and Dan just continuing to write, or were you on high? Did you stop for a while, or?
We kind of stopped for a while. Dan and I had and continue to have this other project
What's that called?
I don't think I'm at liberty to say.
Oh, really? You about to get a record deal?
Well, not a record deal necessarily. It's a TV show idea.
Oh.
But it's a band though, and the music is very 60s bubblegum.
Is it a fictitious band, or it's like a band for the TV show?
It's kind of like the Monkees, kind of maybe.
Huh. Interesting.
But so we've been. I mean, I play bass in that band, and Dan plays drums, and it's a different kind of thing. And hopefully, we'll have a full-length record done in just a few months with that too. So.
Jeff on the Tsar forum wants to know, why didn't you make any videos for this record?
That's a great question, because I would have liked to.
I mean, as much money as they spent, I would have thought they would have put dropped $10,000 on a video.
Yeah, I think at the time, it was MTV still occasionally played videos, and they had music still in their name, and yet they all had just decreed. And it also was before you could really watch videos on the internet.
Right. Because now the music video is making a comeback. Right,
and also it was before digital, cameras and stuff were so high quality and easy to use, et cetera, et cetera. So they were still using film, and MTV had decreed that they would no longer be breaking bands, meaning they would no longer be playing songs that weren't already proven to be hits on the radio. So the idea was that we have to wait for the song to be a hit on the radio before we were to make a video, because that wouldn't be $10,000. Then it would be $100,000 or something. I had friends' bands, they made a video for $100,000, $200,000 that no one ever played or no one ever saw.
Yeah.
So
then you saw bands who spent $100.
Yeah, it's a regret, but at the time we were told to not push it with the label.
Okay. All right. Next song, Mono Stereo. Now, this was written by Dan?
This was written by Dan and I.
Dan sings on this one?
Dan sings it. It was a Drug Boy song initially, and I wrote the verse and he wrote the chorus while we sat there. It was one of these weird things where at the time on that demo it had this hook thing where it went like O-E, 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 O-E thing, and it was O and E, and somehow in a Drug Boy state of mind, when I was writing it down, I took out an O and an E, and it spelled monster. Right,
which is how it looks on the if you look. So MON is capital and STER is capital on the album.
Yeah, and I guess I would take out an OEO, and that was right when the OE. Anyway, it was one of those really spooky, almost like we're touched in on some kind of dark.
Huh.
I mean, it was kind of freaky. Yeah, but you might have had to be there. But
what did you graduate college in? Are you a freaking genius, man? What did you graduate college? What was your major, or whatever you call it?
Creative studies.
Oh, you can't make any money in that, right?
No, you can't. But no, I mean, but that was just that was just what happened. I mean, it wasn't anything that anybody could have thought of. It was. Look, as I tell you, it was this time where everything was happening, and you just sat down and that would happen, and there was this very fun confidence in virtually everything that we did at the time. I'm not really sure why, but I mean, my skin cleared up.
All right, let's hear.
It was like a time like that.
Yeah, well, hear a little bit of Mono Stereo here.
Okay.
Another hook right from the top.
I saw monkey saw, and I saw what the monkey saw.
Now, whose idea was it to say "I saw what the monkey saw"? What is that? Any story behind that?
That was Dan and I talking about the monkey on the moon, or a space monkey of some kind, and I don't remember who said. I think Dan did, but it's interesting because it was really robotic vocals on the demo, and then I recorded Dan's vocal for the album because Rob Cavallo wasn't there that day, and you know, I produced them, you know, with quotes, you know, telling, okay, more like this, more like that, and I had him do it like a robot, and I thought they were really cool, and then he said, let me sing it normal, or what, you know, more close to regular singing, and he did it, and then I fought tooth and nail for the robot vocals.
Let's listen to the chorus here real quick.
Here we go.
Oh, nice hook.
The mono stereo. Here we go. Living on the moon with the mono stereo.
Okay, now continue with the recording process. I'm sorry. I just wanted to get that hook in there.
Well, you know, so anyway, I was completely wrong. And so the robot vocals were a bad idea.
Is there a demo anywhere of the robot vocals?
I mean, at my house. Do you mean, is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Or do you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, it's at my house, but I don't think it's on the internet anywhere. But who knows? Maybe Loose Lips did it. I'm not sure.
Right. All right. Next song, Alfredo Part 1 and Part 2. Get to this. Okay. Turn it up. There's more backwards stuff here?
Yeah, that was a collage put together with the keyboard player that I mentioned earlier, Jamie Bergerac. Is that his name? It's something like that. Anyway, really super nice guy, and we were looking for kind of like a spooky, really scary, a la Fire on High by ELO, the beginning of the Face the Music album. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
I know New World Record was the record when I was a kid.
Right, well, a couple albums before then was Face the Music. It has Evil Woman on it,
yeah.
Strange Magic.
Right.
Anyway, so, but the beginning has this all this backward stuff, and it's very scary. And so that was kind of the idea of that, and putting together a sound collage, and then have hidden messages in there, backwards messages, and a little bit of a song that, you know, that's in there too. So,
all right,
that's
listen
part one.
A little bit more of this. This is probably the biggest departure of all this, of the most different of all the songs that are on the record. It's like more of a, I guess you could say like a punk rock tune. All right, there you go. What? How do you? Is it Alfredo? Yeah, Alfredo.
Alfredo, yeah, it's like radio, but like Alfredo. That was also a Drug Boy thing. I mean, we were gonna have like a whole series of those, like there'd be Alfredo and then Scario, and then like.
Oh, okay, I got you.
All these music devices with scary parts put on it.
Yeah.
I will say that the Burn the Flag at the end. One of my main regrets is that we didn't put the lyrics in the booklet.
Right.
But you know, many albums did. You know, my favorite albums don't have the lyrics. One of them, you know, is Nirvana's Nevermind. So and he mumbled that whole album,
right,
but didn't include the lyrics except for a collage of the lyrics, if you remember. But in the Lithium single, CD single, they put the lyrics for the whole album of Nevermind in the Lithium CD single. And one of the songs at the end, I forget which one it is now, had the line "burn the flag," and he doesn't say it in the lyric. It was this weird thing where it said "burn the flag" was a Nirvana lyric that he never sang, and so I as an homage, I put it into Afraidio.
Oh, there you go. All right, next song, "Ordinary Girl," which is I guess kind of a ballad, right?
She never changes her mind.
A little John Lennon sound, maybe?
Maybe a little bread.
Yeah.
Though she never tells him
Who's playing the acoustic? Is that you or Dan?
That's me.
Okay.
she loves him, oh.
Is that just one acoustic guitar track, or is that more than one?
I think it's doubled. I think we doubled everything on that record. Just kept doing everything over and over and over, making double. And that guitar was Rob's guitar, and it had just been used to play on some famous song or something at the time. I remember the snare. Oh, the snare we used for this song was the same snare that was used on November Rain.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, did he produce that Guns N' Roses record?
He didn't, but the guy who, like, because when you go in for one of these big records, you bring your own stuff, but then you don't really know how it happens. But all these people come with guitars and amps and drum sets and stuff, and the drum tech on this album brought a bunch of drums, and some of them had been used on famous recordings.
And the label probably charged you rent for every single piece too.
Oh, I'm sure. But the snare that was selected for the song, I remember, was the one that had been used on November Rain.
Did you guys all like crowd around and touch it and say, "Hey, this is the"?
Well, Steve hit it with a stick.
All right.
That's how he felt about it.
Fast.
All right, a very nice song, very, very catchy. And did you double the vocals on this record too? All the vocals?
Everything was doubled. We almost called it double or triple. Everything is doubled.
Is that Rob Cavallo's? Does he do that on all his records?
I don't think so. I think it was like when you get in there, we spent a lot of time on this record, and we this thing is rocked. This thing is worked.
Yeah.
And this is go in there every day for months to make this record. Rob wasn't always there. He was a busy person, and left to our own devices with engineer Ken Allardyce.
That brings up a good question. How much input did Rob Cavallo have on the making of this record?
He had some key important input.
Like what?
Like how to make, like, say, a Girl Who Wouldn't Die, kind of how to flesh that out right. Calling All Destroyers, during the guitar break, having to have feedback in the background, to not have a boys choir on I Don't Want to Break Up, which I was pushing for. I think it's a good idea not to. Different harmonic things. He's a really accomplished musician, and just kind of with his experience, how you put things together. He really brought a lot of that experience to it. But he also, we felt, I don't think I'd be unfair if I said we felt a little
neglected.
A little bit of absentee dad kind of situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think he is proud of this record?
I think that.
Does he ever mention this record? Does he ever mention this record when people talk to him about recording and stuff?
Not that I know of. I mean, I don't follow, his interviews too much, but I don't know that he would necessarily. I think he's prouder of his successes, if that makes any sense.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think this should have been more. I mean, please, it's better than that. All right, forget whatever that band is that had. Who's that band that they did a Green Day type record? Why can't I think of the name? No, the other band. They were like an emo type band. They were a good band, actually. I forget the name of the band.
A Rob Cavallo band?
Yeah, he did that. They did like a rock opera that tried to be like American Idiot.
Oh, the My Chemical Romance?
My Chemical Romance. I think it's better than My Chemical. He should be more proud of this than the My Chemical Romance record.
Well, you know, I mean, look.
Not that that's a bad record, but I think this is something more to be proud of.
Well, thank you very much, and I hope in the course of this interview that when I've taken your very, very wonderful praise. I hope
you getting a big head.
I hope that it doesn't seem like I'm, like, you know, oh well, of course, or
right.
whatever. But
it's hard not to get a big head when someone's kissing your ass for an hour and a half, man. So.
Well, you know, I mean, it's weird, you know, because you know, I bet you, you know, I have good things, and well, let's just say, yeah, I don't think I'm alone, and Tsar's not alone with that they don't talk to the producer of an album that, you know, happened a long time ago when
they've had many successes after that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Next song. We got 2 more songs on the record here.
Okay, and I have to go in about 10 minutes.
Yeah. So we're going to blaze through these real quick. So this next song, "Disappear."
Silver sparkling moonlight on the ocean.
Also Dan singing, right?
That's Dan singing. Yeah, he wrote that.
Okay.
Let's go to the picture, shall we find? At the guts, I let you know. What I wanna do is clear. Sometimes I wish that I could disappear.
All right. Great pop tune. There's not much you can say about it, except it's a very catchy tune, and Dan sings it. Next song, album closer, "The Girl Who Wouldn't Die," which is a great, great ballad.
Thank you. It's my favorite on the album.
Little ELO sound, actually.
Little, you know, it's a little ELO. Starts with an orchestra hit, this was kind of this is the final song from the Drug Boy sessions. At the time I recorded the demo, I felt that my goal, if this makes any sense, was to create something significant enough that I could, that if I were to die, then it would be okay.
Huh.
If that makes any sense. So then, so that was kind of the goal with "Girl Who Wouldn't Die" when I wrote it, you know, I then when we recorded it, I wanted it to have I wanted it to be a headphone classic.
Yeah,
you know, things going on here and there, and but really the thing that really makes the song happen for me is the solo at the end, which is a Dan creation, and it's when it goes into the harmonized part, it's that's probably the part that that is consistently my favorite part of the record.
Looking back, would you change anything about this record if you could?
The cover.
That's the only thing, just the cover?
Without a doubt, the cover is bad. The
guys crowded around a little kid, and the kid's pointing at something in the sky.
Yes. We wanted it to be like a classic, like 70s cover, like those Hypnosis, I guess is the name of the company.
Yes.
Did a lot of those cool 70s rock.
Yeah, did all the UFO, Pink Floyd, and many other great album covers. Scorpions.
Like the Zeppelin, like the Presence or whatever. It's not a good record, but like it's a really cool cover. Those kinds of things, it doesn't feel like that at all. And I'm not really sure. I had a dream before it came out, maybe a couple months before it came out. God's only spoken to me like 3 times in my dreams. This time he said, "You got to change that cover."
Really?
Yeah.
Did you think about getting the Hypnosis guys to actually do the cover?
I don't think that I don't think I really knew that they existed at the time. I think I just thought, those freaky 70s covers, like AC/DC Dirty Deeds done dirt cheap or something.
Yeah.
Like those, like something like that. And I don't think it necessarily needed to have that, but that would have been cool. It doesn't come off like that. I don't like it. And I think the photo of us is kind of misrepresents kind of our thing. I think that the photo inside, the live photo inside, I think a photo more like that would have probably been better for.
What
cover.
What about as far as the production and the song choices and the order? Anything would you change about that? Are you happy with the way all that?
I gotta say that I'm happy with it. Okay, but both albums we've recorded are like children, and
both of them are a little bit different than each other. Both really quality albums, but they're both different than each other.
Well, they're very different, while you raise them the best you can, and you prepare them
and you
for the
hope they
world
become
the
a
best
success.
You can. But they have to do it on their own. They have to do it on their own terms, and I'm not angry with them. If anything, I'm a little disappointed in them. But they're our kids, and so I love them to pieces.
So Jeff, when can we expect the next Tsar record?
Later 2010.
Is it? You got studio time booked?
We're going not booked as in. Let's say if we showed up, they'd be surprised. But our goal, and I think we should be able to achieve it, is an album every 5 years. We're on the Def Leppard kind of model, and so 2000, 2005, and 2010, we have an album to do. So
is it all written?
It's it's not all written, but that's the future. Who can say what the future will bring?
Are you guys rehearsing on a regular basis now, and with all the original members and all that?
Yes.
Well, I think the Tsar fans will be happy to hear that.
Yes. Well, I hope so.
Well, I'm happy to hear it.
Awesome, Michael. Thank you for this chance, because it was very special chance to talk about things that you've been absolutely wonderful.
I always love hearing how an album was made from the person who made it. So it was really nice to have you on, Jeff, and thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, and I hope you edit the hell out of me.
I'm not going to edit anything, believe it or not. It's no need to.
Okay, that's
all right.
That's. I'll hope for the best then.
All right, and I will put links to where you can find this album and all Tsar albums on the show notes. Jeff Whalen, hope you have a great day, and really looking forward to the next one. I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Well, there you go. I hope you enjoyed that Classic Albums Revisited with Jeff Whalen from Tsar. I have to thank my super producer, Shane Chisholm, once again for lining this up. Could not do it without Shane. He is the best podcast producer in the business. He might actually be one of the only ones, but he's definitely the best. And let me know what you thought about this Classic Albums Revisited episode and all these that I do. rockandrollgeek@gmail.com. Visit the show notes at rockandrollgeek.com because I need the traffic, my friends. That's how I get paid. And support the sponsors of the show as well. You can save some money and I get a kickback. rockandrollgeek@gmail.com, rockandrollgeek.com, area code 706-621-ROCK is where you can leave me an audio comment. Area code 706-621-ROCK. ROCK. You can find me on Twitter, R&R Geek. Find me on Facebook, also R&R Geek. And on Skype, my Skype name is Rock and Roll Geek. Thank you so much for joining me. It means a lot to me that you take time out of your busy day to listen to this show, and we'll talk to you next time.
It's a rock and roll geek train wreck.